Right. Welcome to the Sea Linkers Relaunch event. Let me start with these two questions. How many of you want to create a livable world for yourself, your family, and others around you, for both people and planet alike? How many of you would want to be part of something bigger than yourself and tackle a once in a generation challenge while still experiencing life and living well with those that you care about? Thank you. The fact that you're here today or rewatching the replay tells me that one of these questions resonates with you. And today we want to welcome you into this family of connectors, the Sea Linkers, who do amazing things because we love to connect, share, and create mutual value. Together, we are on this amazing journey to solve the climate crisis and create a livable world with an economy that can continuously regenerate and restore not just the planet or the operating system, which is the climate, but also people, communities, and life. That's what good business does. That's what ESG and circular economy is for. Whether you joined us because of the referral program and referral fees, or because you're seeking connection with like minded individuals, or maybe it's the desire to be part of something that is bigger than yourself, what truly matters is that you are here. You showed up, you took time out of your Friday to join us, and I deeply appreciate you for that. Because it's individuals like you coming together as a community that creates the reality that we live in. And it is indeed a good time to be here with you. The winds of change is already blowing really hard. What people previously thought impossible is breaking down on its own already. And it's great time to really reset and create opportunities. Economic downturn and pollution, it just shows that the old system is naturally breaking down and is ready to be replaced. COVID and lockdown, it helped awaken a global population to embark on an unapologetic search for a purpose, not only in life, but also in work. AI and technology is showing us how fast change can happen with the right tools, but also importantly, how more than ever, being human and having human connections cannot be replaced. This is our time. This is our call to adventure. And I am so glad to have you here with us because people who change the world don't see things worse than they are. In fact, they see things as they are and even better than they are. I really remember this story that someone told me about how when the first Disneyland was actually opened for the public to go into, Walt Disney's brother was interviewed by a journalist. And the journalist actually said to him, "Isn't it such a shame that Walt never got to see this?" And to that, the brother actually answered, "It's because Walt saw this. That's why you get to see it today." Boom. Think about all the conversations happening at dinner tables or meetups. Are they still filled with about what's wrong in this world, or are they shifting towards envisioning what's possible, the opportunities in view, and how the future could actually be? And I'm so glad that we are relaunching the Sea Linkers referral program because who you spend time with in the sustainability journey is going to determine hugely how much you can do and how fulfilled you can be in this journey. Now, who's ready to engage in new conversation? Raise your hands. Who's eager to discuss about actions being taken, the solutions being deployed, and the bright possibilities for our future? Raise your hand. Thank you. Now, this evening, we're going to start off with looking deeper into who we are as Sea Linkers, what we stand for, what we aim to achieve. Then we're going to hear from two top networkers and community builders who are friends of mine and that have this amazing ability that when they talk to people, they somehow end the conversation with the another person saying, "Just give me a call whenever you need me and I'll get it sorted out for you." Which is amazing that they have this ability to do that. And then we're going to look into some of the new features of the Sea Linker program and how it's built now to help us more systematically meet you, empower you, and recognize you for your contributions to grow this ecosystem. Because as a community, we're actually working towards an incredible goal, which is the challenge And our goal of the association to replace out all linear economy products with circular economy products in the next 6 to 7 years. Okay, so it's not that we want to create sustainable options that's on the shelf next to all the unsustainable options and consumers have the decision to choose. What we want to do is to make every consumer choice, everything that's on the shelf, sustainable, so that even though they might not actively be caring about sustainability, everyone can actually play a role to make this world a better place and make this world something we can continuously live in. And to do that, we are building a profit driven ecosystem that answers the who to deliver the implementation. Now, I've shared this vision before if you've been following our email loops recently. But imagine walking into a meeting room where everyone is saying that this needs to be done, but all the reasons of why it can't happen is the only thing that they talk about. And the moment that you walk into that room, they see hope. They see it's possible because you not only bring the know how, but also the resources, the money, and the network to get things done. Because you're not just you on your own, you're part of an ecosystem, a community. Think about how that would make you feel. And you guessed it right. It needs a hell lot of different players, solution providers, talents across different business functions to make this possible. Some may call it a lofty goal, some may call it ambitious. But as someone once told me, if your goal isn't big enough to keep you up at night wondering how to achieve it, and it doesn't give you goosebumps and raise the hairs on the back of your neck and fill you with excitement, then it's probably not big enough and isn't worth pursuing. So before we go deeper into talking about the core values that really act as that guiding compass for our association and our community, I'd love to actually share this very short clip with you about our mission and what we are trying to do together. Thank you for letting me share that video. Now, these are the 5 core values of our association, and every person in this community embodies them. People who work with us is attracted to them. And there are probably a lot of other ways to approach solving the climate solution, some climate crisis, but we are consciously deciding to bring people like you who believe in this approach to the same mission because we really don't have much more time to convince every single person. We need to find our right fits to get more done faster and at a larger scale. And our right fits are those people who believe in comradeship, that we're here to thrive together and really profit together and be journey partners in this journey towards solving the climate situation and creating a livable world. We are people who are progressive. We realize that the situation is changing very quickly with the climate, with the economy, with the communities that's involved. But what we want to do is keep moving forward and keep rising to that challenge. We are people who are positive. We recognize that there's only that much that we can do and be at peace at what we can't do. What we want to do, though, is to rely on each other so that we can complete the picture and solve these problems in more completeness and totality. Importantly, we wear a lens of empathy because we realize that there's already a lot of out there that's saying we're not good enough, we're not doing enough, we're not, solving this fast enough. And if we can take on this lens of empathy to meet people where they are, not just clients, not just collaborators, but also ourselves, where giving before taking is important to care for our common well being, then we can move much faster ahead, having that assurance that we are being taken care of by the ecosystem as much as we care for the ecosystem itself. And lastly, we're respectful, not only respecting each other's strengths and weaknesses, but also respecting life and natural systems, because we don't want to be working on nature. We're actually working with nature to bring more change to this world. And what's interesting is that the word profit, you can literally spell it as pro-fit. Because when we find our pro-fit, we find the people who are ready to actually take this journey with us in that approach. We can move so much faster, like a dragon boat literally being raced down the aisle much faster because everyone's paddling in the same direction. And therefore, our association, despite being a nonprofit organization, we are a registered society. We actually promote profits. We promote ecosystem. We promote empowerment. Because until we can change livelihoods, it's not going to completely change how people access goods and services on a daily basis. And this is why our sea linkers are so important part of the ecosystem itself, because you help us grow by informing people about we're doing, what it is that needs to be solved. And you're also engaging people and encouraging them to take action. Now, the three bases that our sea linkers really help us to do, because to have this thriving ecosystem, we need these bases to function well. The first base, of course, is our solution providers and our resource providers as well. These could be our approved community, our strategic partners, our affiliate organizations, as well as general donors and sponsors. They form our supporter base. The second base that sea linkers help us grow is actually our clientele base. These are the people who actually need solutions. They're stuck somewhere, they can't move ahead, and they actually need help. So they could be engaging with us through events, through missions, through courses, maybe even consulting projects. But we really want to put them in touch with our supporter-based people to help them get their problems solved. And last but not least, our sea linkers also help us grow our connector base, which is you guys as well. Because the more sea linkers we have out there informing people and encouraging people to take action, the faster that the ecosystem can grow, the faster we can meet people where they are to solve the problems that need to be solved in order to avoid the worst of the climate situation. Now, initially, when we soft launched the Sea Linkers program, we put in this system already, which is a two-tier referral system, whereby every time a successful lead was brought to the association, if they made a payment to us, the introducer, the Sea Linker, actually would get 10% of the amount that we received from the lead. In addition to that, the second tier, which is the person who introduced the Sea Linker, also gets 5% of the amount that we receive from the lead. To just give you some perspective in terms of numbers of how it could look like, right, is that For example, we actually had to go to a trade show, and we made these sponsorship packages to allow more companies that were smaller size to participate in that trade show without taking on the full size of taking a booth, or the full sort of resources needed to prepare for 2 days of trade show. So for the people who introduced the sponsors to us, if they got us a platinum sponsor, which actually took on a 2,500 pound package because it was a London event, the sales agent with the fee that the Sea Linker got was 250 pounds. And then for the all stars who had brought in that Sea Linker, who brought in the lead, actually got 125 pounds. And you can see it actually sort of trickles down across the different sponsorship packages. So even though you may not be involved with the trade show, even though you may not have a product that you want to actually share with the world to solve the climate situation, you can still play a huge role by actually bringing the people who have the solutions to us so that we can make sure other people get to know them. Those people who are looking for solutions can find them. And in return for your efforts and contribution, we reward you with this. Now, some of you might be here as guests. You haven't even signed up as a Sea Linker, and this would be a great point to actually mention to you that if you haven't signed up yet, do sign up as a Sea Linker. It's free to actually join the Sea Linkers referral program. But in any case, why we are moving this ahead is really because to grow that ecosystem big enough, fast enough to solve more problems better, we need more talents. We need more solutions. We need you. Now, I'll take a little break, I guess, from me talking about Sea Linkers, and then we can come back to talk about the updates. But at this point, I really want to share this conversation that I had with our special guest. So this is actually Zaim Mohzani, who is one of my friends. And he actually is an amazing networker and ecosystem builder as well. Okay. Who is a very experienced, very seasoned community builder to come and share a little bit about the community and how to actually build better, stronger, resilient communities for faster action and impactful action. So welcome, Zaim. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Legion.
Yeah, so for the benefit of some of the audience who may not actually know you, would you like to maybe introduce yourself a little bit and let us know how you got into this sort of community building work?
Sure. Hi everyone. Thanks again for having me in this session. I would like to start with a story. So it's hard to believe now, but I used to grow up as a total loser in school. Neither excel in my academics nor sports. And to sheer hard work and luck, I got into university in Australia. And when I was in Australia, someone saw something in me that I couldn't see in myself. And because of him, he encouraged me to run for student council or student leadership council. And I did. And miraculously, I won that election and as the number two in that council. And that sparked the journey of community building for me. It's been 13 years since that fateful meeting that I had with that mentor of mine. And I have built 11 communities, and they are in various spheres. So you have the government sector, you have private sector, and obviously in the civil society space. And I'm proud to say that some of these communities have taken off and become very, very successful in their own right without me. And I think you know, just as a final point, I think community is transformative, and I think this is the future, not just in civil society, but also for businesses as we navigate through the 21st century.
All right, thanks very much, Zaim, for that introduction. And pick up on that point that you mentioned there about why, communities are going to be so important moving ahead, not only for civil society, but, organizations, but even businesses as well. Where does community actually come in to drive that transformation, or drive that rapid change of pace and scale?
Sure. If it's okay with you, Legion, I'll just share my slide just to give you a framework. I think people like frameworks, and I think besides stories, people like also frameworks because it helps them visualize things a lot easier. So I might just quickly share. It's not PowerPoint, deaf PowerPoint. It's just a single slide, and
Go
hopefully,
ahead.
You follow me in this also. So this is my community building framework. It's pretty easy, simple. I've actually built this on community canvas. You can also look it up. It's a form of community building. So when we look at community, uh, it is essentially you're building a community where members genuinely care for each other. And that's the goal, is to create space where people can find support, mentorship, and opportunities to grow together. And this is where they share experiences, challenges, and victories, and that helps foster a sense of mutual care and encouragement. So it's important. So the sense of belonging, you probably hear this term a lot when it comes to community. The sense of belonging is absolutely crucial for people when they are in community. And I'll just quickly, I won't go through everything in detail, but I'll just quickly give you the high level view. Three pillars when it comes to the community building. The first S is story. Another story, you have the three P's. The first three P's: problem, purpose, and people. When it comes to problem, the communities have to be centered on actual problems. You must actually tackle actual issues in the real world.
Yep.
So in my case, I built a community on youth empowerment, or lack of, and the idea was, how do we get young people to organize and empower themselves, and create opportunities in the community. The second P is purpose. So once you have a problem that you want to solve, that mission and goal should be anchored towards solving that particular problem. So again, like for me, I was interested in empowering young people in Malaysia, where I am, and I wanted to equip them with
Right. So
skills and
thank you very
confidence to
much
lead
for
to
joining
positive
us,
change in their
Jael,
communities.
for this
And the third
Sealinkers
P is
relaunch
people. So this is your
event.
target
I'm so
audience.
stoked to
You
actually
must
have you
have a
here. It's
specific target
been a
audience.
long time
The
since we
more
actually caught up
specific
each
and
other,
narrow, the
but
better
the
it
stuff
is.
that you've been doing
So
is
I
mind
targeted
blowing.
folks
And I really
in
love the
the
way
city where
that
I live,
you
in
have just
Kuala
this
Lumpur, and
ease and a
they
way
were
of
between the
building
ages of 18
community
to
and their
30 years old.
network.
Even when I went more granular, there were actually folks that are between the ages of 21 to 25. So that was actually very specific. Now the second S, or the second pillar, is shared experience. So under that also you have
All this
another set of three Ps. You have programs. So every community needs to have a series of programs, because these programs or activities,
Sealinkers
they
relaunch.
bring people together. So you have workshops, you can have forums, dialogues, what have you, community projects. Then you have to have principles. The community must have a set of core values and guidelines that will govern the community. So, for example, when I built my community on youth empowerment, we make sure there was inclusivity, respect, active citizenship, so people felt empowered to change their community and their country. And the final P under this shared experience is participation. How can they get involved in the community? Some communities can be passive, where you just join and then you participate in programs, and some can be where they are actively organizing within that community. So you have to decide on where do you want to go. In my case, I did the latter. So people in my communities were actually doing events and projects. It was interesting. We grew very fast because of that. Very active community involvement. The third pillar is structure. Now, a lot of communities fail very quickly because they don't have the third S, structure. Now, the final three P's are power. So this is the power structure, or just to put it plainly, governance model. So is it hierarchical or is it flat? Many traditional communities or organizations tend to have a hierarchical structure, and some the new ones tend to have a flat structure. No right or wrong answer here. Usually, in my experience, it's better to have a more of a hierarchical structure in the beginning, and then afterwards you can evolve to something that's more flat, because you want to make sure that there's a sense of leadership in the beginning, and then eventually when it matures and grows, you can have more equal and egalitarian decision-making process. You also have to decide the platform. Is this online, offline, or hybrid? And online, it can be Slack, Discord, even Zoom. Offline, obviously, is in real life. So you have to decide what shape of this community will take between the three. I've organized events on all three. And sometimes I find, um, you know, online may work, sometimes offline obviously is great, and I do both. So you have to decide. The final P is a bit weird. It's price, and so sometimes some communities, especially business communities, are paid. So you pay a fee to join as a member. And some of the more community social impact driven can be free. So you have to decide on whether it is a free membership or is it paid. No right or wrong answer here. There's different contexts In my case, mine was 100% free for my organizations. Or most of my communities, I think, yeah, all of my communities are actually free. But you can also build paid membership for your community. So yeah, there's 3S, story, shared experience, and structure. Just a simple framework for you folks that are interested in either building a community or understanding how community building works. It's for my 2 cents. Hopefully that was insightful.
Yeah, thanks very much, Zaim. I think like have opening with that is really good because it helps people get a sense of like our following discussions, where it sort of falls in within that framework and why it's actually important to have these different aspects actually built in. Just going to pick up on one of the things that you mentioned right at the end there about, oh, actually there are business communities that exist as well. I think most of the time when people think about community, it must be all like, oh, it's free, it's volunteering, it's but could you elaborate a little bit more about what have you seen actually in terms of business communities?
Yeah, this is a really good question. So a lot of the communities that are in the business context, you think of it as um, marketing, right? So some businesses use community building as a form of marketing where they're building communities successfully and getting prospective clients or customers to be part of that community, share experiences, um, and solve problems together. So, just as a simple example, if you've been on Google or even Meta, there are actually user generated solutions for people's problems. So sometimes when you Google, like there's an issue with Google, and then you go to this platform where the solution is not actually provided by a staff of Google, but actually is provided by the community. So that actually is a form of community building. They're
Yeah,
using community building to problem solve technical issues that users have.
yeah,
And these are not paid. These are not paid participants. These are not staff. These are actually you know very driven individuals in a particular business that are actually helping other users solve problems, right? So there are actually many use cases when it comes to community building, and you have obviously that one I just used. You also have sales and marketing. You have also uh, folks that are trying to promote innovation. Like, okay, we have this is a new space that we're in, for example, circular economy practices, right? This is a new space. Can we share ideas and swap best practices? Because this collective energy will allow businesses to scale the impact faster than if they do it um, with just their staff or just on their own initiative.
yeah. Thanks very much for that, Zaim. And it's great to actually see increasingly, this whole community building sphere coming more and more in place. I think even things like blockchain, also we see there's a
Hmm.
strong community support behind it. Of
Yeah,
course, there are aspects where they would profit from it, but at the same time, in a way, it's like give and take, right? As the community
yeah,
gives, there's something that the hosts of those communities also return back, either in terms of satisfaction of the work that they do, that they're impacting the world, or it could even have some monetary aspects as well. And things like that. And
yeah,
I guess just to pick up on that point as well, since you were mentioning that, these sort of community space is
yeah.
growing. Maybe you would like to share some magical moments that
Sure.
you've experienced yourself in terms of the power of having a really strong community to drive impactful transformation.
Sure. No, it's a really good question. When we talk about community, sometimes we get lost in the weeds, right? We look at numbers, we look at the big mass gatherings. And in actual fact, many communities that are successful actually have, you'll be surprised, small numbers. Some of them are like 100 people, 500. Some of the most successful entrepreneurs have paid communities that are only 100 to 500, and they make revenues up to $1 or $2 million, right? So it's mind-boggling sometimes how this works. So for me, one of the magical moments for me, one of the NGOs that I built called Nation Building School, and there was a student that joined my youth accelerator program, and his name is Hilmi. So I met him at a restaurant in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, and I remember there was a very warm evening. I remember that like it was yesterday. He was 21 at the time, and I asked him a simple question. What do you want to be? Like, what is your dream? And he said, I want to be the governor of the Central Bank of Malaysia. Almost embarrassed. He was embarrassed to say that. And he took forever to say that. And there was a big dream, right? And it's not easy. And I said, you know what? I think let's dive in my community and and see join programs. So he joined a bunch of programs in my community, workshops. We had like this closed door sessions with CEOs, corporate leaders, civil society leaders. And obviously mentoring was a part of that. And Hilmi, he was so confident at the time. He ran for student election and he lost. He lost. But I think the beautiful part of the story is that because we were there to support him, he was able to pick himself up again. And a year later, after his defeat at student council, he ran a bunch of community projects in his university, and he was named as the Malaysia's top 100 students, right? Crazy. It's a man who had such a low self-esteem, like I was when I was young. Um, he became this icon. And now, looking at him now, his trajectory, he's prominent, like a rising corporate banker in the banking and finance sector in Malaysia. And maybe his dream is not to be the governor of the central bank, but looking at his trajectory, I think he's going to leave a mark in the banking industry in Malaysia. So I think that stories like Hilmi, and I can tell you many more stories, right? But there are like hundreds of Hilmi's stories in my community where people like myself, my co-founders, my teammates have empowered, have worked with. And this type of stories, Hilmis, they drive me because these are actual stories, lives that we are transforming, we are helping, we are supporting, that are, hopefully changing in the country and the community. So that's the true power of community when you are able to change people's trajectory and careers in such meaningful way.
Yeah, and I also love the point that you mentioned there that, because there was that support from the community, even if you actually do fail in your initial endeavors or the initial attempts that you have, you have that sort of courage to pick yourself up. I say that there's still somebody out there who believes in what I can do, and maybe I just need to extend myself even further beyond my sort of comfort zone. And with that support of that community, you'll be able to go with it again and again.
That's right. That's
Yeah. Right. So thanks very much for that session. It's very like we have so much more conversation with Zaim, and because you guys are our sea linkers, you have exclusive access to the full interview with Zaim. He actually shares so much more in terms of tips as well, how he even deals with meeting people at networking, how they raise that conversation in sustainability, as well as community building. And one of the really big points that I took away from that conversation was that at the end of the day, it's about being your authentic self. Right. So with that, I'd really love to, do this exercise with you all, called the 7 levels deep. And this is actually a really useful skill when you're having conversations with people, especially potential leads. And I don't want you to have this sort of like feeling that when we talk about leads, it's like, oh, the icky salesperson, ha ha ha, we're gonna push some product to you sort of situation. But really start trying on the jacket to look at sales as a service because we're there to understand them, because we want to understand if we are the profit for them. Therefore, we can have the opportunity to solve the problems that they're facing, solve the challenges and the headaches that they're facing as well. So, by having the skill called 7 levels deep, it's something really useful, especially when you realize that, oh, okay, maybe this person that I'm talking to is facing some sort of challenges when solving the sustainability or climate issue. How do I actually get to know a bit more deeper? Right. And by engaging in that human connection and becoming that authentic self and allowing that other person you're talking to become their authentic self, what you're forming is not a transactional relationship where it's just, oh, I buy and that's it. It's actually a re- relational relationship, right? Where it goes beyond just what it is that you're selling, so called. So let's do that. If is there anyone who would like to try 7 levels deep with me? Trust me, when you experience it yourself, you're going to remember it so much more. If you want to actually be on the hot seat, now raise up your virtual hand right now. I see 2 people on the screen actually, Carol and I know Boon, as well as Luani is on the call as well. We have Jafu, yeah. So who would like to do it? Anand, you want to give it a go? Yep. So let's do that. Is that all right, Anand? You be on my hot seat today?
Uh, Lidian, I think I have a problem with my internet. There's a delay in my internet at the moment. Let me just try to sort it out first.
Sure. Okay. In that case, shall we go with Carol then, since Carol's sort of like screen is open as well. Carol, is it okay to do the 7 levels deep with me?
Actually, what would you like me to share actually?
Well, just trust me on that process. We're going to actually talk about why you came to today's event. Or maybe let's say, why did you even join the Sea Linkers event today?
I tend to believe circular what do you call it? Circular value networking is an important way to help out on the ESG. I think it is where you reduce all the virgin products and helping as a form of community. As you give out what you don't need, it will definitely be somehow be a treasure to another person. I always believe that. That's
Right.
how global comes in place.
Right. So in this exercise, what I'm going to do now is to ask you another 6 times. So there's 7 times I'm going to ask you why, okay? Because we actually want to move from the sort of beliefs up here to down here in the heart and really help, people understand when we have that conversation that transforms them, it's going to take a bit more whys to dig deeper into that. So first why that I guess I want to ask you based on what you mentioned just now is that this circular values network is something that's going to contribute to ESG. So then the question would be, why do you want to contribute to ESG?
I think everybody will need to do something to protect the planet and don't to do the move, and nobody, because we are just a drop of the ocean. So everyone's play a role, and it's good to be the influencer. Uh, you have to be the one that start doing it before you ask people to do it. That's what I think.
Right. So then the next why that I'd like to ask you is that why do you think it's so important to, protect the planet and actually step up as the influencer to do that protection of the planet?
Yeah.
Why is that important to you?
Because it's not a good place to stay anymore. There is flood, there is global warming. No, it's not the right place. I think it's unsafe when suddenly when you're walking, there's a big sinkhole that's happening here in Kuala Lumpur, and the tree chopper. All this is because of the climate issue, and it's all started also because of human beings. Sorry to say that.
Right. Right. So why is it important to you that, people have a safe place to live in? That, their day-to-day beings is they can go about it while being safe and, have that security that they will be having a good sort of life. Why is that important to you?
The next generation will not suffer as what we are.
Okay. So then why is it important that the next generation does not suffer?
Well, I would prefer that they go back to nature. Going back to nature is something that is more peaceful.
Right. You mentioned that, going back to nature would be more peaceful, but then why do you think like it's necessary for them to have that type of peace and not be suffering?
They are already born into the situations whereby a lot of times they do not have the opportunity to practice a lot of hardship. So if they are back to nature, then they will have to start from scratch all over again. It's a circle. I think.
Right. And why is it important that they don't start all over again from scratch?
Nowadays, a lot of children are very lucky, but they don't have to do a lot of things. Not like
Right.
our time. Last time you have to I can only speak of myself. When you're young, when you're 5 or 6 years old, we already start to know how to clean our own shoes, boil water, do this, wash our own clothes. We do that now. Nowadays youngsters don't, right? So they don't treasure water, they don't treasure what they already have.
Mm.
So I think it should go back to nature. There
Right.
should be an opportunity.
And why is it important to you that, these children, actually have that a better experience of the world, that they can go back to nature, where they can have and continue to enjoy these sort of various things, the good life lah, right, in a way. Why is that important, that these children can enjoy that?
Probably maybe because I enjoy it during my young time, and I don't see the neighbors' children have that opportunity. Again, I can only speak for myself.
Right. So you would like something that's better, a better experience beyond what you experienced in your early childhoods.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Right. So that's 7 levels. That's 7 levels of why. And what I actually heard, it actually started from like, oh, value networks are very important and that ESG is very important. But then when we started digging deeper, you can start understanding that this perception why all these are important actually stems from this interest in the children's experience of the world, right? So when things get tough, when people are at the hesitation of whether or not to make that action, in your case, if someone were to come up to you and say that if you did this, and the experience of the children today would be secured, would be safe. They can actually go out and play. They can actually have a good life. They would be safe from all the microplastics and pollution in the world that could make them have all sorts of diseases. I'm guessing you'll be willing to sort of like take out your purse and say, take my money and just go. Do what you need to do, right? Right. So this is the skill when we use 7 levels deep to start understanding what actually matters most to that person that we are talking to. And therefore, when we are talking to position our products towards them or the solutions that we have, we may not actually even need to convince them that climate change is real, because that's a myth that a lot of people think. We have to convince them that climate change is real, or that we have to convince them that, there's going to be more money if you go into the circular economy, if the next $1 trillion business. When we start using the 7 levels deep as a skill in conversation and just understand that person deeper with an empathetic lens, we can know how we can approach that topic of sustainability and how the solutions that we can bring forward would help contribute to solving this person's concerns and their fears and their worries, so that they could also have that peace of mind as well. Right. So I hope that was a good sort of exercise that we can empower more seal linkers to have, because it's not about a sleazy salesperson going for it and say, hey, Circular Business Association, we got this, we got this, we got this, buy this course, buy that course, join our membership. No, what we're trying to do is we're trying to serve. And to serve authentically, we need to meet people empathetically where they are about what they care about. And that's something that I think, as more seal linkers have that ability to use that skill, the more we can empower you all to also be authentic to what you care about and what drives you to continue in that sustainability journey as well. Every time I actually run this exercise with somebody, I feel I learned so much more, and inspired actually by what people care about. Remember a conversation that we had with somebody who runs an education platform online. And it started off with like, oh, we want to make sure any person on the street can get the education that they need in order to succeed in life. And when we started digging deeper, we started realizing that he cared a lot because he was a HR manager for a long time. And he saw how people go to work and literally get killed by their jobs. Not physically dead yet, but their hopes, their aspirations, their dreams, it gets diminished and diminished and diminished. And they feel stuck and they can't find a way out. And they get into all sorts of mental health related issues, physical health related issues. And he doesn't want people to experience that, when he knows there's a different way that they could get unstuck and achieve their full potential and fulfillment in life. So when we start talking about that and the sustainability aspect that he brings from a social perspective, I feel like, wow, if I could empower this guy to bring his solution forward, if more people knew about what he could do for the world, we could move this even faster. because as people get fulfillment in the work that they do, the more solution providers and talents we can bring to solve the problems together. How did you feel about that exercise, Carol?
Something different because you're able to make me think deeper one level from every question to another question to really open up what I actually didn't realize.
That's great to hear. That's so great to hear. Thank you very much for participating in that exercise. And I'm so glad to actually have that honor that you trusted me with answering the questions. I know it can be vulnerable at times when we talk about these sort of like questions. It makes you think deeper about things and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know if that's going to be the right answer, but there's no right and wrong. And I'm so happy that, I had your trust to do that. And this is the type of community that I want to continue building together with Circular Business Association, whereby we can come together, we can be our authentic self, we can have fun solving a really huge ass problem, and at the same time, making sure that, we are taken care of because there is the referral system to also take care of us as well from financial aspect. So, okay, right. So with that, if you do have any thoughts, further thoughts, the rest of you who are in the call as well, if you have further thoughts about this exercise, any questions about it, feel free to drop it into the chat. And at this point, I just really want to move into Jayao's session very quickly, just to the front part of it again, because we won't be able to cover the whole interview because Jayao just poured so much into his sharing. But at this point, let's hear from Jayao about his experiences of community building. Thank you very much for joining us, Jayao, for this C-Linkers Relaunch event. I'm so stoked to actually have you here. It's been a long time since we actually caught up with each other, but the stuff that you've been doing is just mind-blowing. And I really love the way that you have just this ease in a way of building community and their network. And as a community of C-Linkers, which are basically our connectors for the association to grow faster, reach the type of talents and resources and opportunities to make the solving the climate crisis situation something that's doable in the next 7 years, I think our community would definitely benefit from your insights and your thoughts and tips as well. So thank you for joining us tonight.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me. And, I'm really been impressed with how you've brought CBAS up, from its early days to what you guys are already doing now. I think it's amazing. And I think you're really responding to a desperate need in the space.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jayao. Now, I'd like to actually start off a bit with a bit of your origin story because some of us in the community actually won't know you. So maybe you can start off a bit first. Like, how did you actually get involved with all this community building stuff that you do?
Okay, I think community building is a necessary thing to find my people. So that's something that I realized that I have to do. And it stems from a sense of alienation I couldn't escape from the start, right? So from my first year as a lawyer, I was told by my boss, who was a really, really good lawyer, who is so good as a lawyer, he then was appointed as a judge. Now he's a judge in the Court of Appeal. He told me in the most angry terms that I was not cut out to be a lawyer. So and that is because I'm not I'm not going to do well as a typical lawyer, and because I cared about too many other things, and that really got in the way of my practice for commercial law firm. So I think, of course, I wish I knew now what I knew then, so I would have suffered less from that
Isolation,
feedback, and that sense of alienation. And so I think over time, then you develop the knowledge that, hey, actually you're not alone, and there are lots of people who are also working on things that are important, right? So and there are people who are agitating for transformation along different places where that you also think, hey, I think innovation needs to happen along these lines. And so then, but then to connect with people who are out there, and you don't know where to find them because they are not typical people. So then it remains that you have to communicate what you are working on. And so I have to overcome my own introversion and all those self-doubt and imposter syndrome, and commit to communicating, consistently to the work that I'm doing. So I think and to do that, I guess it's you have to sort yourself out internally, because getting onto internet is a not a it's a mixed bag, isn't it? So being on social media, sometimes being on LinkedIn, is an invitation for mental breakdown. So sometimes you look at it and you go like, oh God, do I have to communicate like this? Like how these other LinkedIn influencers are communicating? Can I do something else? Or like, will it matter? Do people care? Or how do I do this, right? So I think the guiding star for me was well, if I'm doing it with a issue focus, then you're serving the issue. Then it's not about me. So that really took the like, yeah, it's not about me, right? So I just focus on the issue and I make it a discipline, right? So when I'm communicating, because I just don't like to communicate on social media, but I make it a discipline that I communicate about the issue, right? And I try to take away the me from it, so I don't feel so scared, and exposed. So I take the me away from it and focus on the issue. And because that's what people want to read about. They don't want to read about like I got an award or I win something silly, right? It doesn't matter to them. But it's the work that is important. And especially the work is, so it's not when that also means it's not just the success stories, but also the failures and the challenges and the things that scare me. So to talk about those aspects, like there's a gap in something, and then we're trying to overcome this gap. It's very ambitious, but intuitively, I think maybe if we connect A with B, we might start to solve this gap. Communicating like that, then people, the algorithm will
work to your advantage.
Yeah, because then then you are using the algorithm because you're using relevant keywords, and you will be surprised. And so when I started to do that in a disciplined way, overcoming my own inhibitions every day, to do that, then I've just constantly been surprised with how people reached out to me, people I've never met, and people I'm familiar with, but I had no idea that they were working in those areas. Right. So it's been, so it really kind of like encouraged me to do that more, which is to communicate my work. And then to build that the group, your people.
I really like what you mentioned there, actually, that, sometimes when people think about like building your network or community building, it seems like, oh, you just wake up and it's like, yeah, I want to serve a greater purpose, and yeah, you do it. That's why, they're community builders and people, ecosystem builders like ourselves. But what you really pointed out there is that sometimes, no, it's just that you just need to get that extra juice from being around the people that care about the same things that you care about. And that's enough to actually get you going, because when we find that connection, it brings you a different type of energy, and it gives you a lot of different types of courage to pursue something that's bigger than yourself. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. And then when people come, and then you feel gratitude, and that's really good energy for me. Like, like I'm a very cynical person, but like when people turn up, then it's really amazing when you find people who resonate with. I mean, they may not be likable to you. I mean, don't get me wrong, but we are talking about work, and we're finding allies in work, people who get it. That's priceless, right? That's priceless. and it's
Yeah.
win in your sales, like I said, we may not be best friends, but it's really something to be grateful for because of how niche our area of work is.
Yeah. And right. So thanks very much for letting us show you a bit of the conversation that we had with Jiao. Again, you have exclusive access as sea linkers to the full interview. And Jiao literally poured a lot of his experiences and tips into that conversation. I had booked him for 15 minutes and he just gave us 45 minutes because he believes so much in what we were doing. It's the same with Zaim. I booked him for 15 minutes and he just poured us with like 40 minutes of his experiences and tips as well. So this is like that spirit in terms of like how our community is working together to really drive more action. There is give, there is take. Jiao and I have gone far back where we organized the bar chats, environmental law related conference together completely online during COVID. And we took from each other, but we also gave from each other. And that's the sort of spirit that my community that I'm representing today and really sharing with you all is about. Now, with that, I'd really love to share with you some updates about the referral program itself. I know we are at time already, and we're just going to take a few more minutes of your time. Of course, in the chat, please do drop in your contact details, network with each other. You are in company of friendly parties here. So please take that opportunity to network because as Jael pointed out, that just that lessened feeling of feeling isolated gives you the extra juice and power to keep going forward and moving. Now, the first thing I'd like to update you guys about is this referrals and recognitions part of the Sea Linkers referral program. Now, as you remember just now, right at the beginning, we shared that we had this two-tier referral system that was put in place, and basically it was to reward Sea Linkers who found leads that made some sort of payment to the association, and they would get back 10%. And the person who brought in the Sea Linker, which is our all-star, also gets a 5% sort of sales agent manager referral fee. Right. So this initially was what we thought, would be enough. But we actually been meeting more and more of you guys who have been saying that, I want to do more. I want to get more involved. I want to contribute more. And we actually want to make sure that we support you in that journey. So we aim to actually create this situation where there are no wasted touch points. With the referral system in place and with the recognition system in place, we want to make sure that whoever is ready to take the next step into sustainability, whoever you happen to talk to who is ready to take that next step and is looking for solutions, collaborators, or even talents, come back to our ecosystem at Circular Business Association, because this is a space where you can have that trust that we have that common aim to grow the impact to solve the climate situation. We want to put the solution providers with the right type of people who need their problems solved. And at the same time, when you put them in touch, not only are you creating impact, you are also being taken care of as well in that referral program. It could be monetary, it could be non-monetary, and we want to celebrate you. So what we did was we actually launched our unique referral codes. If you signed up as a Sea Linker, you've already seen your codes already. If you haven't, please do sign up. But how do you actually generate referral fees from the program? Now, we've worked really hard, actually. I think what Zaim touched on just now was to have enough activities, have enough products to allow people to engage, to allow people to actually get involved. And as a registered society, just to share with y'all, we do generate revenues from membership fees and approved community minimum annual donations. We do have revenues from sales of training courses or programs, or even sponsorship packages or paid events. There are sales referral commissions fees when we match together certain suppliers to clients. And we also have sponsorships from our community. For example, when we were looking for a sponsorship to get the production crew to cover this event that was attended by the ex-chief technology officer of Huawei, Mr. Paul Scanlon, we actually managed to do that through our Sea Linkers. So when the Sea Linkers found our sponsors, when they found the connections to the right solution providers, the members, the approved community, they actually got rewarded as well with the 10%, and our all-stars got rewarded with the 5%. So this is 3 products at the moment we're running in terms of the courses to meet people where they are, because we realize that a lot of people, they see so many different certifications, courses, all the technical jargons, and then they're trying to run when they can't even really crawl properly or walk properly, right? So we actually put in these readiness programs to actually say, okay, before you jump on and then do all sorts of things, let's get your cores ready, right? Like you go to gym, you need your core strength, right? So we actually build the core strength with these readiness programs. By bringing participants to these programs, you are helping them to get the help that they need, and you will also be able to generate referral fees from that. This was an example of securing sponsors. And another area where we're starting to see, solution providers engaging with us a lot, our C-Linkers are inviting people to come to our closed door networking sessions specific for technology or product owners who can solve the climate situation. Now, once you've made that introduction and they come, it doesn't matter if later on, the deal was struck because our association helped to facilitate it. You are still that introducer to that solution provider, and we'll make sure that you get rewarded as well. So by doing that, you're helping us really grow our approved community of the solution providers. They have technologies, they have products that can solve the climate crisis and replace out the market products, which is our aim anyway. Or you could also be growing our strategic partners where they are non-technical solution providers. They can't replace out the products in the market completely on their own and solve the climate situation, but they're very important to give all the wind into the sails of these solution providers, right? So they're strategic partners as well. And what we want to do is that as you make these connections and as you feel comfortable and confident to bring them back to the ecosystem, it doesn't matter who was talking to which client, we will always be able to make sure that touch point is not wasted, right? If we can't solve it yourself, bring it back to the ecosystem. There's somebody else here that could potentially help you. Now, from the recognition perspective, the non-monetary perspective, we're also starting to see a lot of our C-Linkers pulling their strength as well. We got our list of honorary advisors. These are big shots in their own rights, be it from the fundraising realm or even the technical realms of their energy or manufacturing, etc. Because our C-Linkers brought them to us. Not only that, we've got some really great MOU partners, including China's one and only outward-facing International Carbon Emissions Exchange in Hainan as our MOU partner. We've got the Gulf Circularity Awards event actually being part of our MOU partners as well. We've got London Climate Technology Show and Smart Cities Network, which is globally as well. So we're building across different geographical regions because our C-Linkers have been bringing them to us. Now, sometimes we don't immediately sign on as strategic partners or MOU partners, and that's okay as well. What some of our C-Linkers have been doing is helping us secure critical webinars or even joint talks with people that can build the credibility of the association's efforts, including Singapore Exchange, including like the Hainan Carbon Emissions Exchange. But at the same time, hi, Carol, you can see your picture there as well. We've actually seen people, coming to host the study group on the new ISO standards in circular economy. And you guys are part of the community as well. It's not a monetary gain, but there is satisfaction to be gained in a non-monetary sense, that sense of comradeship as well. So because we realize there's so much that our C-Linkers are bringing to the community, we actually have put up the next update, which is our quarterly celebration. In the past, we only celebrated once a year in our annual report, very brief mention here and there. But because of the effort that you guys have just poured into the association, we want to recognize, celebrate, and brag about you. It's an hour-long session in comparison to our usual weekly huddles. The next one's on 16th of December, and I'm really looking forward to sharing the wins as well as maybe share some of the challenges that C-Linkers faced in order to grow the impact that they feel strongly about. Now, if at this point you haven't signed up as a C-Linker, this would be a great time to actually visit our website, join our C-Linkers program. It's free to actually do that, because we actually want to make sure we empower you with more skills and things like that. We actually launched the next update, which is our weekly emails. And the main aim here is to really empower C-Linkers. If you joined us as a C-Linker before the event, congratulations, because you've been getting weekly emails with things that trigger thought-provoking sort of situations in terms of, is it recycling economy? Is it circular economy? Or what is the purpose of us actually trying to replace out all these unsustainable goods in the market? How are we going to achieve that? What are the different tools and skills that could be useful for you in order to communicate authentically what you believe in as well? Now, to support you all even more and build that comradeship between you all and allow you to network with more people, we also relaunched our huddles. We used to do it only as an introduction session where people come and understand what the Ceiling Curve program is about. But we decided that we will relaunch this into not just information about events and courses, but to open up a space for you to meet other people, that you could nerd out in for the things that you care about in this journey towards solving the climate situation, where you could get that support, even if you maybe didn't, I wouldn't say fail, but maybe tripped over in that week. Or maybe someone said something to you that made you feel like, oh my gosh, this is really tough to go in sustainability. Come to the huddles, get juice, because we rely on each other's energy. And when we tap into human emotion, that is the biggest resource that is available to us. Okay, so we've launched our weekly huddles. The next one that's coming up is the first one actually after this event is the 30th of September. It's a Monday at 6 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. Singapore time. It will be in the morning here in the UK, but nonetheless, it's just 30 minutes. Share your wins, share your challenges, and then we're going to talk about something that can help you guys move your journey a little bit further ahead. Lastly, the last update I want to share with you all is a new Salient course tool that we've launched. Is to give you all more clarity and ease of action. Now, if any of you have gone through our website, you're starting to realize that there's so many different ways that organizations get involved with the association. Some of them are approved community, some of them members, some of them are C-Linkers, some of them affiliates or partners or wider community. How do I know who is what and what should I direct them to? So we did a really simple sort of 7-step checklist, which also will be shared to you through the email updates, to actually just use this question to guide yourself. Oh, okay, is this person I'm talking to likely to be a client? Are they likely to be a solution provider, which is a approved community? Or are they likely to be more like a C-Linker, an individual that needs to grow and explore more? Okay, so with that, thank you very much for staying to the end of the C-Linkers relaunch program. The next steps, number one, go through the starter pack. If you've already signed up as a C-Linker, congratulations, you've been sent the starter pack already. Go through it. There are templates that can help you in terms of explaining what it is that we do, and also what it is that you do. So please feel free to go through the starter pack. Secondly, join our first huddle on the 30th of September. It's just 30 minutes. And that's where if you have any questions, any support that you need in terms of helping you move ahead with this, please talk to us then. Number 3, join the C-Linkers WhatsApp group and introduce yourself. Okay, it's relatively new, this group, because like we didn't have so many channels to enable people to talk to each other. Now, C-Linkers, you guys are passionate individuals in your own right. And when you guys talk to each other, there's a lot of sparks that can happen. So please feel free to join our WhatsApp group. Again, this would have been sent in that welcome email to the C-Linkers, and you can just click on the link there as well. So with that, we believe that with our collective efforts, we can create better business relationships, live out our passions, and really make a positive impact in this world. I hope you enjoyed the 7 levels deep exercise we did just now. Feel free to do it in your own time and really dig deep, because when you're your authentic self, you bring a relationship actually to the conversations you have with others. Thank you once again for being here. I truly appreciate your time, and we can't wait to see you at our huddle on the 30th of September and in the WhatsApp group. So if you have any questions, reach out to us. Have a great day and a great weekend ahead. Let's make the Sea Linkers an amazing community. Thank you very much.